if you're going to elevate and get the lion's edge and everyone else that lives in your house is still down here, I have bad news for you. They're going to resent you. So if you go up, you got to raise up.
Welcome to the Lion's Edge, where top performers sharpen their teeth. Hosted by Joe Blackburn, founder of The Lion, who is relentlessly dedicated to helping business owners lead multi-million-dollar teams. And me, Jason Croft. I transform unseen entrepreneurs into industry leaders by developing their market gravity. Each week, we reveal proven strategies and raw insights to help you maximize your business, multiply your wealth, and make your family indestructible. Now, let's create your edge. Joe, how's it going? We are back again.
Back in the saddle. Had a great Easter. Spring break in the same week. I don't know who planned that, but
that was me.
Thanks. I figured you had a hand in it. You were like, could I double this up on you? But no, I had great time, ready to get back and rock and roll. Good to see you.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's good to get these rolling. I love this topic that we're talking about today because it's across the board in everyone's world. Is the idea of time.
Yeah.
Time shortage and can't get enough in. I've been reading some books and stuff like that, which a nice perspective as well. We might interject this idea of just like, you're never going to get everything done. So as soon as you let that in,
right, just give up.
You can kind of breathe.
Let it go.
So that may layer in here as well. But specifically, you're getting, I don't know about an objection, but that's for people considering the Lion and coming in, that's their main concern.
Mm-hmm.
It is more the time than anything else. What's coming up around this, and what are your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, the initial reaction from once we go through all the mechanics and how it works and what expectations are both sides immediately goes to, I have no extra time. Like I'm already drowning. That's why I'm here. So in people's minds, and you can do this, it's overwhelmed, like with anything. Like I don't have space for anything else. And for the Lion specifically, immediately we would start cutting things out, not adding to. So it's the opposite of what someone would perceive. Like, well, I've got to learn something new. I got to get a new routine. And that's more of what it is. It's the resistance to change than the physics of time constraints. So getting someone to understand you're probably doing a lot of things that aren't necessary, probably not saying no to enough things, and just the overwhelming feeling of I've got so much going on, I don't want one more thing, puts it in reverse, when in reality, what we attack immediately is how do I start eliminating as fast as possible? How do I prioritize what is important and what isn't? What do I say no to? What do I say yes to? I mean, so that actually starts giving you back capacity. And, we have a lot of different things we work on within the Lion. One of them, of course, is that the D word, delegation, which, we actually surveyed everybody in the last, 3 weeks, 4 weeks coming out of the in-person, and then did their employees. And of course, the shining thing was not only am I not getting delegated to, I'm also not being trusted when I'm delegated to get it done. And sometimes I get leapfrogged. So that's pretty common in the businesses we deal with, where it's my baby and I don't want something bad to happen. So I'm going to delegate it and then jump over you and just take care of it because I'm scared. So there's this whole, situation, I guess, where that's not reality. That's not actually what we're even asking anyone to do. And what we help with is, all right, let me start getting things in priority first, then attack energy, and lastly, time. So, I mean, it's more about the first two than it is. I mean, time's time. I saw online the other day, they have something that's going to bend space and time that they've been sitting on at the Pentagon or something. Probably some conspiracy. But until I get access to that, it's how do I attack the first two, my priorities and my energy. That's where you start. And again, most people, especially when we're talking about a significant investment of capital in yourself, they immediately go to, I don't have time for this, which is not true. So that's where that came from.
Yeah. And I like this idea that you back into that. And instead of, okay, how do I get more time. That's where our mind goes, which
Right.
obviously
Could you produce some? No,
again,
I can't.
yeah. So to back into that, you, you mentioned that you start eliminating first. What are some examples of that for folks, just so they can get an idea of what gets eliminated if my schedule's already jam packed in there?
Well, we actually have an exercise called Cut the Bullshit. And it's about what you think. What's the bullshit in your daily, weekly, monthly life that you've said yes to or you feel obligated to that isn't help you get close to your goal? You know, when you go through goal setting, if I've got a goal, the question becomes, is what I'm about to do going to help me achieve my goal or not? And the answer is no. I get the scissors out. And that's being judicious with your time. You know, most of us have this, and we've all been brought up this way, where it's almost like I'm hurting you by telling you no, or I'm disappointing, or I'm letting you down. You know, you have parents, I'm one. Your kids learn that they don't want to disappoint people. I mean, I'm guilty of that as a parent. Sometimes I use it against them. Like, your mom's not going to be very happy. It's my favorite one, but it's not really good for them psychologically. So what you want to really take a hard look at is, what are the things that you're saying yes to under in your own mind, I guess your virtue, or that I'm being, selfless. But really what you're doing is I'm saying yes to shit I don't want to do because I don't want to feel bad about feeling bad. So getting that like out on the table. So if I'm laser focused on my goals, is what you're about to do related to that. Especially as a business owner in a community, you're getting asked all the time. Do you want to donate to this? Do you want to volunteer to this? Your kids play sports. Like, we were talking baseball earlier. I saw the sign up sheet and about had a panic attack. It's like, who's going to do Game Changer? Who's going to do the drinks? Who's going to do the walk up songs? Like, oh, and I'm just like, I'm not doing any of that shit. I'll bring the drinks because I can put them in a cooler and drag a cooler. So now I'm signed up for drinks. So if you have to do something, pick the thing that is heavy and is physical because you can move it. Don't do the one that takes a bunch of this. Because you start, I was talking about people saying I don't have time. What they're actually doing is rationing. They're rationing their time. If I put an hour into this, what's it going to cost me? And now I have to ration everything else. So it's just like, get specific, but start cutting, not adding. Cut out things. And, you might have to tell someone no. Like, you might have to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be there. I'm not coming to that. No, thank you. What I would generally say, especially when, the calendar's crazy, is I believe I have something scheduled. I'll let you know if I have an opening or if I can make it.
As your default.
Yeah.
Rather than.
And it's not a lie, because I'm pretty sure if someone checks my calendar, there's 4 people putting stuff on my calendar, and I'm sure there's something there. Like, I just, default in my mind. And we talk about it if you go back to, being judicious with time. Even if you don't have someone in your 5-3-1s, for those of you that remember pillars, they should be on the calendar. That 5-3-1 should be on the calendar. So don't lie. Just have a full calendar and assume that, that I have something, I'll get back to you. That stops the negotiation. Whoa, why can't you make it? You should. It's not going to like, you get out of the barter and just, I'll get back to you. But the biggest thing is really evaluating, is what I'm doing getting me closer to where I want to go. And when you go through that, it's eye-opening.
Yeah. And then I think hand in hand with that is learning this skill, and you're getting there with what you mentioned as your default response, but especially those close to you, communicating those goals, right? Like, it's not just no, it's no because this, especially for those close to you. When it's somebody just randomly wanting your time, nope, get back to you, blah, blah, blah. But to communicate time with your kids, with your spouse, with whoever that may be, maybe your business partner, maybe your employees, like, we have this specifically to hit. We're going to move this around. This has to happen. And putting that at the forefront. And again, when you put it in goal form, it keeps that front and center in front of your face. Like, oh yeah. So those 30 minutes, they can be major.
Well, one of the things you do in the beginning is a 10-year dream. And I always recommend do that with your spouse. Even if so we encourage spouse in the line. We want them, if one of them's the owner and the other one has something else going on, we still want them to come to the in-persons, know what we're doing. You can't, if you're going to elevate and get the lion's edge and everyone else that lives in your house is still down here, I have bad news for you. They're going to resent you. So if you go up, you got to raise up. So we encourage that. But one of the first things is take the 10-year dream and sit down with the person you love the most or who's most important to you. Could be both. And write out the dream. Because once the dream's out on paper and you've talked about it, then it's the mechanism against do I do or do I do not, and what's the cost, and is this something, then I can actually have conversation based on something versus just, well, you're going to make my mom feel bad or you're going to make, so, and I will tell you, we've moved. So this is full transparency. There are times when people that we moved away from that are close to me, maybe even blood related, wonder why we're not, running back to do things. And it's like, we got goals. We came down here to build something, and I love you and everything. And if they see this, they know I love them, but we're, like this on what we're doing. Doesn't mean we won't spend time with them. I think I've been, in this instance, I think I have to go back in late May. Don't really want to. Probably only go for 2 days instead of a full week. So it's that mentality of like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to see everyone, hug everyone, tell them how much I love them. And then on Monday, I'm going to be back in the saddle. So that, and there, that's a cost. Like, what are you willing to do? And that doesn't mean you shit on everyone in your life. I'm just saying, if you have a laser focus, it's easier to say no. And as you said, if I communicate that, especially to my immediate circle, the people close to me, it's funny you brought this up because Lauren and I were talking yesterday in Big Bites this week in Inner Circle. I was going to have everyone redo their 10-year dream. We didn't premeditate. You brought those up, and I was like, I think we've got enough new people, and it's been long enough. I think it's something, even though it's your 10-year, it's like everything else. You can't dust it off 10 years later. So it's because what that does is it takes today's pressure and time constraints and expands where I'm going, so that stress of new things, change, disappointment, whatever it is, 10 years ain't going to matter. So do what you need to do now to get to that. And that's just all mindset. Like, again, I can't manufacture time, but that's 100% how I see the world and what's important to me and what's important to the people that are important to me. Get them all on the same page. That's a big advantage.
I mean, that's a tendency for even a 1-year goal, especially a 10-year goal, to sort of put that down. It's if you're really doing it's an event, right? To get those done and to kind of go through that just energetically.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so there is that tendency to go, okay, that's done.
But
and not revisit it.
Think about it this way, though. In my goals, there's deadlines, dollars, and I mean, I'm getting specific as if in present terms. In my dream, it's my dream. So it's not a 10-year business family plan. It's a 10-year dream. So so don't put limits on what you're seeing, because think of a decade, like where I was a decade ago, where you were a decade ago, and where I am now. It's like almost hard to wrap your mind around it. And you make some turns in that time period that I believe I didn't have one then, by the way. I believe if I had a 10-year vision or a 10-year dream, maybe would have been faster and different. Now, I'm not regretful. However, I know by doing this now and having the people that I'm close to within the Lion do it, there's more clarity. Doesn't mean it doesn't change. I mean, life changes. You can get thrown a curveball. I mean, by the way, shouldn't we say that differently? You're going to get thrown some curveballs.
Right.
But what's cool about it is then I dial that down into the 1 year. Then I can target. So if my dream is this, I can break that down and target. Now I'm going to get way closer, way faster. I might get it in 5 years, which is an interesting dynamic, but it does change the perception of time. We live in this strange universe where like all I get is today, but I might live 50 years. So it messes with my perception. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow, but I may, I'm going to turn 50 this year. What if I have to live another 60 years? Have to. Meaning at some point they make me live. You don't think that's coming? So my point being, like, perception, it's all perception, rationing, all those things we're talking about. But the most important thing is get clear on where you want to go, and all this other bullshit goes away. It just takes some toughness, which is a word not used very often. It takes some toughness to stand your ground and do what you know is right.
Yeah. And I imagine getting back to this original aspect of it of, hey, I don't have time to go and be a part of this new thing. I bet that's one of the most not just eye-opening, but like taking the pressure off a little bit to like, oh, that's how you do that. That's how,
Let some air out. Like, it's like if it's full, just let some air out,
yeah.
you know?
When are you letting them know? Because if that's an objection coming up before they even kind of join, how are you showing them that? Kind of like what we're doing today. How are you showing them that in a call, for
Well,
instance, so that they go, oh,
I talk more about it from the fact that if what we did was give you a bunch, well, by the way, we don't do this on purpose because it's been done to me and I don't like it. We're not giving you, the workbooks that I do have. I have 72 of them. We're not giving you like people these days in our business that are clients, they don't want the extra work, meaning they don't want that. What they want is something that works. So if I can, I'll say, we can in 45 minutes to an hour, just going through a coaching rhythm, and I can walk you through the coaching rhythm. We can figure out what works and what to do next and what didn't work. So that's more time efficient. But I also talk more from a business standpoint because they all own businesses. If what we did was give you a bunch more work and overwhelm and you paid us for that, I'd be back at corporate America. I mean, that's like, think that through. Like if we just dumped a bunch of shit on your plate and had you pay us and said, "Hey, good luck," this wouldn't exist because no one would pay for that. No one would invest that in themselves to have extra things to do. So it works. So if it works, it can work for you if you do the work, which is show up, make a decision, execute. That's the work. It's not, hey, I got to learn a bunch of things, and that's not how we operate. It should
yeah,
be able to be done in net time. No, and if you have no extra time, you just change what you're doing in the time you have. That's it. So what is all the dumb shit you're doing throughout the day in distraction and avoidance and all these things that we can replace with the things you should, or more importantly, must do, because what you're doing now gets you the results you're getting. So make these a must. Okay, that's it. That's my speech. Did you want to end?
I'm in.
Okay, great.
I bought it.
Okay.
Drinking it. Yeah, and that is it's finding these things, but like you mentioned earlier too, it's sometimes then, okay, this is a thing that has to get done. It's non-negotiable. It's taking all my time. Cool. Let's find another way to do it. Let's find who do we delegate that to? What's technology to help with that? Um, Make sure it first aligns with the goal. Then, okay, do you have to do it? And then if you have to do that, what else
Right.
can we give to other folks? So I think that's great. Again, of course, we're putting it in the context of you having a conversation with somebody considering
Right.
joining the line, but this is for all of
Well,
us.
yeah. I mean, if you own a business, you're having the dialogue in your head.
Exactly. We all feel like we're just constantly busy, full. But when there's a real audit done on our time and figured out, okay, yes, we are filling it with something, but is it the best use of our time?
Well, we used to do it in 15-minute increments in a notebook, 7 a.m. And I mean, you can still do that. And it is useful, but and pretty quick, you can, if you say, tell me about your week, you probably can get 3, 4, 5 hours like that.
Yeah,
I mean, so yes, there is a granular way. We have all the tools. Everybody has all the tools in the world. That's great. If you can't build the car, they're not very useful. So make it just like we're saying, we're not going to spend a lot of extra time. What are you doing and why and how important is that? Is that rubber? Is it glass? Can't you, like you said, is that something you have to do? Most people are doing things they don't have to do because that's a security blanket, not necessary.
yeah,
And I get completion on these things I'm really good at. So the completion
right.
chaos circling around me, when I pull one that I can just do, I get that sensation of completion. So great, go get that with something that you need to do now and let someone else experience that. I hear all the time, like, I want to work on the business, not in the business. I hear that shit all the time. I want to work on my business, not in the business. And I always wonder to myself, why do people want to get so far away from the greatness? It's just a question that pops into my head. Like, why are you running from your greatness? You have a gusher. What is it? Like, what's driving you? It's because I hear it and see it on, see it on TV. Now they see it online. Like, you're fucking worthless if you work in your business. Okay, go run a business with 5 or 6, 10 people and tell me how that works for you. Just try it. Anyway, I'm on a diatribe on that one. It just drives me nuts. If you're 3 years out from a sale, yes, we need to make, that's level 3. You're 5 years out from the sale of that business. Yeah, we got to start removing you. But if you're like in year 2 or you're making $700,000, you're not in the, I need to work on my business, not in my business phase yet. You're just not there yet. So so now I'm like mind boggled that I'm like pissing time away. I don't know. Maybe you cut this part out. It drives me insane.
Well, I get your point, but there's also, I mean, you have to do that. You have to, obviously the thought is you've got to work on these things that aren't just the technician
Correct.
aspect of it, because they're big business things. You're talking about, though, don't go like, okay, I don't touch my business anymore.
Right. That's what I
do.
yes.
Right.
How about this? It's an ascension. Maybe there are steps to getting there. And you're not terrible if you're not at the end where you look at a spreadsheet and make a phone call and that's your life. I know some people like that. If you want to look at their 40 years in business and the heartache and gut wrench and risk and failure and time that it takes to get there, have at it. Well, all I'm saying is this: be careful on this aspiration to be separated. Just be careful. That doesn't mean you do the mundane tasks. That's not what I'm talking about. Maybe you find what your true greatness is and surround yourself with everyone that does everything that isn't that. And you're still at work, this horrible place to be. Shit, I get 5 free minutes and I'm not sure what to do. Like, I'm waiting for... So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's me. Anyway, so if I'm going to spend time committed to something, serving someone, a team, a client, all the above, a business, why don't I find what I'm truly great at and build around that versus trying to remove myself from any of it and then feeling guilty and overwhelmed that I can't do that yet because I haven't. There's this old thing called rite of passage. It's an old concept. It's kind of gone away, like where I have to pay the price. I've yet to see someone leapfrog it. And by the way, you might see that in this creator world. I did the math on some of this, and some people have, put everything into skipping that and just being an expert without doing the work. And if you look at the mathematics and what's to come, they may get a little surprised there too. So kids, pay the price. That's all I have today, Jason. That's all I got. The soapbox.
On that happy and cheery note,
yeah,
that's the show, my friends. All right, see you next time.
All right, man. See ya.
You've just experienced the Lion's Edge. If this episode lit a fire, if you're ready to push past your current ceiling, there's more waiting for you. Want to see what it takes to become a member of the Lion? Visit jointhelion.com to discover how successful entrepreneurs become unstoppable forces. And make sure you never miss an episode by hitting subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just content. This is your edge.
This show is powered by Media Leads. Tired of being overlooked in your industry? Learn how market gravity can transform you into the leader everyone's talking about by going to MediaLeadsCo.com.